this Thursday, the 8th of I was going to say December then, of January. So I hope we're all doing extremely well. After last night's game, there's plenty to get into this morning. I've got an update as well on the manager situation as well. Things that are leaning into what we said the day before, yesterday as well. Wilcox, I think there's plenty of stuff to talk on in and around that as well, where I think that we're at this camera is absolutely failing. There was just so much to get into. I'm not on the football side either. This is all on the ego side. This is all on what's out there right now. So look, I'm JB. Get in there. This is the best community on this platform by far. Bobby's in the chat already, almost 30k subscribers. As Bobby says, give it a like, favorite, and subscribe. Give it a smashing, guys. First thing to say, look, you guys in here are fantastic. The only reason why we're anywhere near 30 is because of you guys. Second thing to say, look, get into this chat. We don't mind banter. It is all about respect. So respect the community, respect yourselves, respect me. Otherwise, the ban hammer comes up. We don't mind banter. We don't mind banter at all. We welcome the banter because, let's be fair, we are a banter club right now. So that's all good. Second thing to say is I'm not a dictator of this chat. I really do respect your opinion. This is why I read out all of your chats. Your comments is because I genuinely do read out your chats. So get in there. As Jackie says, it's just all about the banter. I need to move the light again because it is a nightmare. Better? Yeah, it is, yeah. So, get in there. I want to know about yesterday's game, what you thought about that. I've seen plenty of people on YouTube waxing about it, saying, that was a great performance, that they've seen improvements. No. I've got to say, one of the things that really bugged me last night was the Wilcox thing. Just looking at him, what a dull dour man. It just reminds me of preceding the Murta, the Arnold vibe, him and Omar Barada, what a pair of dour, grey looking, boring. There's no aura about them. There's nothing about them that screams I'll take the golden green top. Cool. No improvement. You'll have to let me know, Scott, your size, mate, and I'll bust one over to you, mate. No improvement at all. Shesko getting on the score sheet is great though, and we can talk about the game as well, guys. We will get into that as well. I'll talk about another message that I had this morning, by the way, and I'll give you an update from where I'm at the same size as you. I think I'll probably go. Let me check the size of that one. Because that's a large, and that's a little bit too small on the chest. Just to give you a heads up, I've got a 42-inch chest. I don't know your size, Scott, but yeah, I will happily order you on, my friend. Ryan says latest on Ollie or Carrick. Ollie is still massive favourite with the bookies, and we'll come on to that straight away. So as you guys know, I have exposed myself, not in that way. Over the last couple of weeks, I have been getting a bunch of stuff as I have been for a little while now. And me talking about the transfer window, the reason why I've been so staunch on the fact that we're not going to make signings, the fact that it's a Gallagher or nothing at all. There's reasons for that. Scott says, you've seen the stuff about the PSG manager? No, I've not. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be the caretaker until the end of the season. So, yes. So after the Leeds game again, the manager was sacked. Fletcher comes in. That was told to me. I told to you guys as well. Yesterday, the day before, told you to I got told to watch the space, that Ollie was the favourite. Ollie's come in. Carrick was being interviewed yesterday. Apparently, the end of the season will push hard to get him. Look, I will note that down, Scott, because I think that's a Luis Enrique. I think that's a good place to go as well to get into this chat. So what I said last night and what I said yesterday was, what I've been told is that Ollie is the favourite for a number of reasons. Mark Harris says, I would sack the first team, get Jose to play under 23s, Shesko, Manu, Kone, Leon, take it from there. Ollie is 1-0. Good legend of the chat is Mark Harris as well. So so I said to you guys yesterday, like I said, a message, eyes on Ollie. Ollie is the guy that they want. I also caveated that with and said, look, Carrick is going to come in, but one of the things that they want to do is they basically want a 2-for-1 deal. They want as many cheap options and as many ex-players pretty much as they possibly can. Now, Carrick wants the job. So Broderick says, big up to you, my friend. Ollie is still the favourite, but what I've been told today is that basically the problem here is this, and I think Simon Jordan actually hit the nail on the head, was that the problem is there are two camps. There are egos at play here. One set of egos is on the basis that, look, we have played Ollie. We've paid Ollie £10 million to leave, right? And what we've got to understand about how this club works is all about ego. It's all about pride. It's not about formation. It's not even necessarily about the coach. It is about ego and who wins. Right? So there is a significantly more percentage-wise you want an Ollie from an optical perspective, from a perspective of the fans, a perspective of how can we make the fans look over here when there's a festering pile of shit here, right? There's also a percentage of people at the club who are, let's put it this way, they are a bit more clued up. And from their perspective, they are looking at, look, we have paid this manager all this money, and are we really going to bring him back and install him? Their view on it is basically, is it more embarrassing to the club to bring back a manager on an interim who basically they sacked and it cost them a lot of money, versus is it going to be more beneficial to bring him back because the noise is going to be louder if you don't? So Carrick, I think has put a very, very good case across. I think, again, from what the text chat that I've had, is that there is a significantly growing number of people that like him. He fills basically the criteria that they want. The criteria, and it is basically who is the best manager. And this is nothing about formation, by the way. This is nothing about the formation. This is nothing about who the best guy is. This is all about PR and spin. Who is going to be the manager that is going to keep you quiet? Who's going to keep us quiet? Who is the manager that they deem that's going to keep the fan base quiet the most? Also, from a media perspective, which coach is not going to make them look really, really stupid? And this is why the Carrick stuff will not go away, because there's a significant amount of people who are acutely aware that this club has paid off a coach and they're going to bring him back. So, as I've said before, and the person who I speak to is pretty adamant still that Ollie is going to be the guy, as he did say to me as a caveat to that. It probably is going to be them both. It's probably going to be Ollie and Carrick, but Carrick is going to be the assistant. Now, it doesn't mean to say that Carrick is not going to, or Carrick is out of the race yet. What people got to understand, and this is what, like I've been told, there is a power shift. There is a power play here. You know, from hour to hour, depending on who you talk to, depending on who the ego is, from hour to hour it shifts. But there is still this push for an Ollie, because ultimately what they want is they want the fans to feel good. The problem is the significant amount of money that they paid him. But Carrick is seen as probably the intelligent of the two in terms of the football. The guy's actually got tactics, but this is not about tactics. So whoever wins this race, and as we reported yesterday, was that it is still felt that Ollie still has significant has a high percentage chance of getting it, purely because he feels more criteria. So let's see if my information is correct. But if it is correct, big up to that person. I'm never going to name them, but it just means that they were right again, and that will be the third time that they're right. So big up to them. Let me get through the chats, and then we can talk about all the good stuff. Ronnie, I've done that. You've seen the stuff about no. I would sack the first team to get Jose. Yeah, not being funny, Scott. Managers probably look at United as a big risk of damaging their career if they're not already successful. Roy Keane, from what I've seen of that, he will change this team and get them playing well. And if he comes, he will have a big budget to get players he need to get the team back to the top. And look, Scott, I am not opposed to it, right? And as you know, this is my view on it. I've got two views on it. One view is, if you're actually going to back a coach and you're going to back him with players, go and get the best manager that you can. Simple as that. If we're going to do an Amorim again and not back a coach, don't bother. Because there is no point. I've got a manager list of managers I would have if we don't invest, and we've got to use these players. I've also got a manager list of if we decided to invest in a coach. That's a different list completely. We can't have somewhere between the both. You can't semi-invest. This is what this idiotic club did. They basically decided to go somewhere in between and sit on the fence. There is a money aspect here, which I don't think people realise the amount of money is going to need to be spent on this team and the amount of debt that we still have. But look, Scott, let's just play that game for a second. Luis Enrique, if he comes into the squad, he's going to want to change the squad. If you see Luke Shaw, if we get that sort of coach, and again, I'm using Luke Shaw. His name could be, I don't know, Steve Smith, right? It's not the players. It's the player in terms of how many coaches he has survived. Luke Shaw should not survive this next coach. Even if Luke Shaw has to sit on the bench because his contract doesn't end until 2027, so be it. You're going to know very, very quickly in the summer whether or not a manager is going to be backed. Because if you've got the likes of Luke Shaw still here, you know this manager is not fully backed. Roy Keane is earning more money talking. He doesn't need the stress. I do agree. Simon said, good gist to you. Hope you're okay and got over our results. Simon, never, my friend, never. Bobby says, I don't care who we get in. The same will happen again and again. It's pretty much who's the next best to polish the third. Expectation to reality is miles apart. I would give Ollie 4 games as we did with Rude, see how he fares up, and then our idiot board decide after to see who just can get him to run this club. I saw a couple of days ago that Evans is in line to assist Ollie and Carrick. Yeah, Luke Shaw should have been moved on 5 years ago. Same with Delo. Casemiro had legs are gone. Maguire's still on wages. Just a crap shot of incompetence. And Mike Harris, absolutely, my friend. Herbie says, how do JB? I'm just on my lunch. Herbie, hope you're doing extremely well, my friend. Yeah, what's for lunch today? Sky says, being from Manchester has its perks, JB. This is what's floating around. He will need the full backing of the board and the owners. And yeah, Scott, mate, I don't disagree. You know, it's a the problem is we don't know. You know, the one of the things to consider as well is, you know, there is infighting at the moment at the club as to they can't even decide fully on who the interim is going to be. It's all about ego and power. And this is the problem. You know, look, all I'm going to say is you've got the Brighton game on Sunday. If things kick off, and the moment that they can decide between them, but basically the moment whoever's got the power wins, that is when you're going to see who the next interim is going to be. It's just a massive struggle. Someone says, I would have really loved to see Ollie take charge after Ten Hag. Then maybe we won't be in this fix that we're in right now. Luke Shaw has a potential, but he's a big. Luke Shaw has a potential, but he's a big flop. Sorry. Luke Shaw was a potential, but he's a big flop. Look, Luke Shaw for me. Look, great player. It's not about flopping for me. And look, Pete, mate, I respect the opinion. It's not about whether Luke Shaw has flopped. Like, Luke Shaw in fits and starts has been a great player. I don't necessarily think Luke Shaw has flopped. I think what makes him a flop is injuries. You know, that wasn't his fault. I don't blame Luke Shaw for the contracts. My problem with Luke Shaw is not the person necessarily. If you can look and assess a situation and take the person out of it, right? When I'm looking at Luke Shaw, the footballer, and I'm looking at Luke Shaw from that perspective, right? Exactly, Simon. Luke Shaw, the person, I'm sure he's great, right? But Luke Shaw, the player, and the attitude of the player is not right. Is not right. You know, he was given a contract that wasn't his fault, but he can't help the injuries. That wasn't his fault. I totally blame Luke Shaw's situation on the club. No one asked. Luke Shaw didn't ask to be given a contract. You know, Luke Shaw's footballing. Luke Shaw, from a footballing perspective, stinks. You know, the guy's able to get fit and get ready to go to a Euros, trying to get to a World Cup. He knows that's not going to happen. And as yesterday shown, the guy is not interested at all. So, you know, it says, even when Shaw is not playing, how long can he stay uninjured for? Jack and Potato, mate. Actually, United would be better run by a sack of potatoes, to be honest with you. Mate, you can't beat Jack and Potato. Absolute quality. Shaw's been part of the fixtures and fittings. The hospitals have seen Shaw more times than any other player. It's so true. It's so true. So look, keep an eye on the Ollie stuff. This is not my. This missed one, JB. What have I missed, mate? But it then could just be a smokescreen and more spin. And look, Scott, I mean, you know, look, I'm very, very fortunate at the moment where I've got somebody who messages me. I'm starting to trust, and I'm very fortunate from that perspective. I'm putting my head on the block a little bit here by, you know, saying the stuff that I get told. you know. But it looks, Scott, ultimately it is a mixture of spin, a mixture of, unless somebody comes officially from the club and says to you, like, this is what's going to happen, you're not really going to know. But my person is spot on. Who's running it then? Spuddy Murphy. Give Ollie another chance. Look, Querty, the problem is like, people were baying for Ollie out. I think people at the end, people forget we lost to Liverpool 5-0. Towards the end, it wasn't great. It wasn't great. Going back is not going to be the answer. Sabine says, next for United is City and then Arsenal. I feel like there's a strong possibility those games will mess up the team even more. Biron, in previous, thank you for the chat. In previous, in previous seasons, what would happen? I'll have to ask him, Scott. You know what? I will ask Ben to come on here. I don't know. I don't think he will. But I will ask Ben. I'll reach out there, and I will ask Ben to be on the show. Probably going to get told no, but let's see if we can get old Jacobs on here. Let's see if Ben will come on here. So Ben Jacobs, let's see if we can get him onto the show. I would really, I'm trying, by the way. I am trying to get people onto the show. I'd love to get onto the. I'll give them a try. I've been trying to get people onto the show, mate. I've actually been trying to get ex-players onto the show as well, and I'm not talking about like Roy Keane's and that. I've reached out to Paul Parker. I've reached out to Lee Sharp. I am trying, guys. I am really trying. Get Roy Keane and Neville. I would love to, but there is no way on this planet that they would come on to this show. Absolutely zero chance. I'd hate to be in Ollie's shoes if he got sacked again, because he won't get a third shot. If he doesn't get the job full time, he will get a lovely pat to say thank you. Nobody, absolute legend, says hi. Get Roy Keane and Neville. Always something to discuss at United, as we don't want to give up. But until we get some new owners, we will be talking about the same stuff for many years to come. We dropped points against two teams doomed for the drop. So what hope do we have against City and Arsenal? Reach out to Jim and try to get his I'd love to. I'd absolutely love. At the end of the day, okay. So JB, look. So JB, we absolutely tried to give him, but I've appointed Wilcox, who is best in class. So JB, the choices are really, really Champers, JB. JB, do you not have Champers, JB? Yeah, that's not going to happen, is it? I don't want to listen to Gary Neville. He does my brain in. My choices of possible managers are Howe and Javé. This is look. I think one of those managers is going to have to come. Now, honestly, right, one of the things that we need to consider here, and one of the things that I suggest that you listen out for and listen to, and again, I'm giving you information here, is that what we've got to understand as fans is how this club is run. So you've got Brown Knight legend. So you've got a Vavel. Okay, he's pushing for a player. He's been now given more power, by the way. So he wants Nagelsmann. You've got Wilcox, who wants another manager. This club is not collectively going out as a group, as a strategic team, and going out picking the managers. It's all about mates rates. It is all about egos. It is about what this football team, this football collective that we've got want. This is nothing to do with who is best in class. This is about mates rates. So when we are talking about a manager, all these coaches, right? What you've got to bring into the thinking here is, who do the likes of a Wilcox want? This is how we're going to pick a manager. It's not about they basically like have a list, and they're going to go through the list, and they're going to talk about the data, and they're going to look at what they've done. This is about who each of an Omar, a Christian, a Wilcox. It depends on who they want. Yeah. Herbie says, haha, JB, you remind me of an old friend of mine who made me laugh without even trying. He always turn me and say, what are you laughing at? A good trait to have, mate. Thanks, buddy. You guys probably find me funny more than anything. My family don't, but look, guys, I'm glad I can make you guys laugh anyway. So when we're talking about the coaches, it's just you've got to bear that in mind, and I will continue to bring stuff as well on that as well. But look, let's just us guys on here, it's up to us to call this out. So we've got on camera who we think is best in class, and then if this club then goes and picks the wrong coach, we can say, well, actually, as a community, we felt that we could pick X coach. You picked Y based on your egos, based on your friends. Look at what's happened. Let's go through the chats, and then we can talk about the game as well. Reach out to Jim, yeah. It says, honestly, can't believe people have come out upbeat from the performance, specifically not in Burma or Ahmad back. We will be winning games soon, but this performance is so deluded. Yep. No one was happy and feeling upbeat after that. The owners don't care about what the fans want. They only care about themselves. Have you seen the clip of the new Chelsea manager, JB? He sounds like a roadman swearing at players on the pitch. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't say Rossignol. I know too much. I know when he used to play for, was it Fulham? I can't say I know too much about his managerial style. That's their pick, isn't it? Maybe have they gone and got an Amorim? Is that what they've done? I'm surprised that Chelsea actually haven't gone out and gone and got a more of a world-class coach. I don't understand this methodology that they've got in going for these coaches who are the next big thing. Like, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. It says there is no job security at United. Who dares to take the job? Best jersey ever. This is a fantastic jersey, and this is not a replica jersey, by the way. This is my original jersey. The board is so fickle-minded. Do we get a manager or coach? Pete, we want a coach. We want a yes-man coach. Simple as that. Someone says both Chelsea and Celtic had no problems finding a manager. Theirs was done quickly. United will dither and faff. Exactly. The only thing that changes is the man that takes the blame. 10+ year cycle now. Managing United is not worth it for any manager. Pete, I want someone with balls to run this club and get this club back on its feet. I nominate Grace. I'm telling you now, if you get Grace, who's a legend of this chat, she's got bigger balls than anybody, and she will have this club being good again. Martin Legend says Ollie's going to a different Manchester now. I think he had a better team a few years ago. This squad seemed low on confidence. Yes, it does. Redknapp said Arola is an elite manager. Do you agree? I think it's difficult. Look, Redknapp, as much as I respect him, I don't take. Look, do I think that he's an elite coach? Right. Managers are going to back each other, right? I'm not saying that he's not, but Arola is a risk. I'm tired of risks. We can't take a punt. Look, if we are a serious club, right, and we want to get back, if we are a serious club and we want to get back to the top, right, Arola, good coach. But the one thing that we've never done, and you can say Jose, but for me, Jose was a spent force. Jose was the beginning of the end, and I think Jose was a spent force. After Fergie, we haven't gone out and got an elite coach. Jose, you can say he was an elite coach. He was, but at the time he came to us, he was losing his magic. He'd lost his magic. The one thing we haven't done is gone and got a prime best coach now. I'm tired of gambles. I'm tired of going for the Ten Hags. I'm tired of going for the Amorims. I respect it. I respect these hipster guys. It doesn't work. We need to go. We need to have adults who are in charge of this club. We need to go and have an adult who is in charge of this club and goes and gets what this club needs. I don't want marquee signings. I don't want players who are going to cost us £100 million. I want us to go back and take stock and say, look, where are we? How can we get to where we want to be? We need a team. If you put Messi into this team, if it was that easy to fix this side, go and pay, I don't know, go and get an Mbappe, right? Go and sign him for £200 million, right? Go and spend it on one player, right? Because the reason why is because if one player can fix a team, go and buy the best player that you can go and buy, because 200 is going to be cheaper than spending £500 million. If every team in the world could go and buy one singular player to fix a club, go and do it, because it'll be cheaper for you to spend 150 to 200 million pounds on one player than it would be to go and to basically go and spend £500 million. It'd also be easier because you wouldn't have to basically negotiate for 6 players. There is not a single player on this planet, or even 2 or 3, is going to come into the squad and fix it. Even if you've got Mbumo, Ahmad, Cunha, it's not enough. We don't have a squad. I want a manager who is going to come in and is going to be a good coach. I don't want world class just yet, because we are not that team. It's almost like we're trying to build something and our foundations are not right. I want a coach who is going to come in who is a potential elite coach, and we build this team from the start up. I don't want elite players. I want good 2 elite players. I want, maybe you can have 1 or 2 elite players, but I want a squad. I want a Neves, a Gallagher, whoever else. Go and get a decent 26-year-old left back from a Bournemouth. Go and get these players. So Arola to me is irrelevant. Now, I don't. Is he a Premier League coach? Yes, I would consider him over someone else outside of this league. But the next coach has to be someone who is experienced, that these players are going to respect. Also, the next coach has to have authority. Herbie says, "Is there any update on Ollie?" Again, I'll give you what I've been told. I've got a list of things, so I'll give you what I've been told. Herbie, again, yesterday told you about my information. Information was, look, Ollie is the favourite, of course he is. Carrick came into interview and apparently he did a fantastic job. There is an ego clash here. The update is pretty much, look, Carrick is not out of the race. It was absolutely thought that Ollie was just going to walk it. That is not the case. But there is a power struggle. There are two things at play. One, there are people who want their own way. And number two, the optics of it. How is this going to make United look? This is not about league position. This is not about can we get into the Champions League. This is about ego. This is about how can these coaches or coach come in and not make these people look like a bunch of idiots. Wilcox, Omar Barada, Sir Jim. This is what it's about. It's about how, from an optical perspective, are we going to look as a club if we bring in an Ollie again? Don't forget, we paid Ollie to leave and we're going to bring him back again. So there is a significant percentage of people that want to bring him back because of basically what it represents. Also, as I reported as well, do not be surprised if it's Carrick and Ollie together. Johnny Evans has come in. Evans is going to keep that. Is going to keep that position. That's one of the reasons why they brought Johnny Evans back, is because he knows this team and he can work with either or. I would still go with what I've been told. I would still say that it's going to be Ollie, but you could have Carrick and an Ollie. But look, the reason why this is so difficult really to say 100% right now is because of the power struggle. Just when one of the powerful people think that they've won, someone else comes in. It's very, very political. Let's have a little look. Increasingly, unlike Carrick and Ollie will manage together. I don't think it's them who decides that. I think Wilcox doesn't like it. God knows why. The man, it makes no sense. Strasbourg is a satellite club. Am I surprised? I'm surprised they didn't go for Amorim. It's got a great start for Rosenior. Losing, he looked too overconfident at the press conference. I would give Rosenior a year at the club. Exactly who's leading the race, Ollie or Carrick? It's Carrick. It's Ollie. Ollie is leading the race, as I said last night, and we're going to be seen shortly. Watch out for the next couple of hours. It's going to be Ollie. I think it's going to be Ollie. Well, from what I've been told, it's Ollie. So just watch this space, but don't rule out Carrick. Whoever gets picked right now. Yesterday, Ollie was firmly the man. Today, there was kickback from certain people. This is about who is going to get their way. Whoever gets chosen, Ollie or Carrick, it's about ego, and it's about whoever's the most powerful and can get the more people on board, they're going to win this race. So this is not about Ollie or Carrick. This is about who's going to internally win the race to get their man in. I think he's a good coach, yes, but I don't think he's elite. There are levels to elite. I don't think he quite fits that. Gary says, hi. Hello, Gary. I believe Ollie is favourite, but who knows? They could announce somebody else tomorrow. I can see Amorim coming back in 10 years. He has unfinished business here. I don't want him to come back. I don't think he should. If I was him, I wouldn't come back. Yeah. I hope not. Scott want to have moved on huge amount by then, but you're probably right. Getting Edan Terzic. No. To those people who want us to make a permanent appointment now, who is actually available other than Southgate or Ajavi. Crody, look, respect that opinion. Respect that opinion completely. I'm going to offer another opinion on it, right? I don't care. And it's not that I don't care about your view. Crody, and again, this is not about you. That, for me, the fact that you've said that is a very, very Glazer Ineos statement. And I'm not saying you're doing it on purpose, but what I'm saying is people are now programmed to say, oh, there's nobody there. Like, go and fucking get them. Like, again, this is not about you. This is just about, because I've heard that statement so many times, right? Is, oh, there's just nobody there. Oh, you know, there's only, you know, this person and that person. I don't give a shit. Go and get them. You are United. If this was any decent club, you walk into a club not because you are arrogant, because you want their manager. You are, look, in life, whether we like it or not, right? Big fish eat small fish, right? And it is not a disrespect. Football has completely changed. Football has completely changed, right? It's not as easy now to go and get a coach, right? But I damn well assure you, if Real Madrid wanted our coach, they would come to this club, even though we are still a big fish. They are the biggest fish, right? I don't care if the manager that we want is not available. We are a big fish. We are probably one of the biggest fish. Go and get him. I don't prescribe. I don't prescribe to this. Oh, these managers are not there. You know, Emery, you know, he's never going to come. You know, Luis Enrique is never going to come. That is not my problem. Like, we are a big fish. Go and get the manager. Go and get them. Who are we? Are we Swansea City? Like, are we Wrexham? You know, are we Notts County? Like, are we a Burnley? Like, and there's no disrespect to this club. We are United. Go and get the manager. I do not prescribe that to, oh, like, the managers are just not there. And Crady, this is not against you. This is how I've always felt. Go and get the manager. I don't care. Go and pay. If you're a big club with ambitions, and the reason why we don't is because we don't have money. We are run by incompetent clowns. If you want something and you're a big fish, you go and get it. In life, if you're an alpha male lion, you go and you take what you want. If you're the biggest fish, you know, sharks eat the smaller fish, whether we like it or not. This is the dog eat dog world, right? I am not the biggest fan of it. I don't think that's right. But this club has to, if it wants to be a big player again, you go out and you make a statement. You go and get the manager that people think that you can't get. You go and get the coach that doesn't want to come. You convince them. If you go to a Villa and you say, we are going to pay you a fair price, you turn Emery's head. So Emery has to then go to the club and say, look, I'm going to go. You convince him. And imagine that. You go into a Villa, yes, it's going to cost you money, but imagine the sort of respect, and they'll go, wow, I never thought that we would ever be able to pull him out. Whether or not he'd be insane to do it, I don't think he ever would do it. But that is what big clubs do. And I just don't prescribe to this, oh, you know, the coaches are just not, yeah. Yes, they are. Everybody has a price. We just won't pay it. It's all power play now, both at United and Chelsea. They won't let the head coach have a say. It's the division that's toxic. If you criticise something, you get labelled an inner or an outer. Exactly, people can't just separate the issues, especially fans want to be right instead of wanting us to win. And that is, and Sully, this is what I say all of the time, right? I will have an opinion, right? You guys will have an opinion, right? Somebody has to be right and somebody has to be wrong. That is just the fact of life. I don't see it in that way. If I pass an opinion and it becomes true, and it's an opinion that is a negative opinion, nobody wins. Why would I want to be correct on an opinion that makes us worse? For me, I don't care about being right. I would give an opinion, as sometimes that opinion is being proven to be true, right? Give you an example. My opinion on Amorim getting sacked and Fletcher coming in. I was right. I got told information. I told you guys. We went with that before anybody else. We were correct. But it doesn't make me right, does it? I mean, that is such a shit. You know, that was something I didn't want to bring into the show. And great, you know, my information was correct, but it doesn't mean that I was right, because it just means that a coach that I wanted to succeed, I don't care about that, you know, and I know that many of us, we don't care. But you're right, all people care about are being first. They care about being first with transfers, news. They basically poke at the carcass. You know, Amorim, the signature says the problem is United can't attract the world's best players right now. Interesting opinion. Scott says, I want him back. I like Amorim. He was outspoken and said it as it was, which is what's needed, not a yes man, and what the owners want. And Scott, that's exactly true. Let's put a line in the sand now. And what I mean is, you're going to hear so many different things which have already started from the media and whoever else. Amorim was not sacked. And again, this is information that I've been told. They wanted Ruben Amorim to stay until the end of the season, and the plan was for him to step back at the end of the season. It would have made sense for the club because they would have had to pay him less money and he would have gone. The only reason, there were two reasons why Amorim left. Number one was because, and this wasn't the reason why he was fired. This is the reason why Amorim decided to do the thing that he did. Jason fucking Wilcox telling Amorim to play a back four. This is basically how it started. Wilcox trying to dictate, who's never been a manager in his life. He's got aspirations to be one. Jason Wilcox dictating to a manager as to how he should play. Number one. He was then told that he wasn't going to be getting players. He was then told he has to work within this squad. Amorim at that point was just like, nah, I'm done. After the Grimsby game, the West Ham game, the Toffees game, Amorim had enough at that point. Amorim was not going to be a yes man. That is why, leading up to some of those games and the comments that he made about playing a back four, it now makes sense. And if you look back, I was infuriated at the time by some of the things that he said. He said those things on purpose. The moment that Wilcox and co, and Wilcox here is going to take the blame because he's an absolute fucking moron, telling a manager to play a back four and he's not getting any players. This is why Amorim exploded, because Amorim is not a yes man. This is why Ruben did the thing that he did, because he was not going to be dictated, and this is why he said that he wasn't a coach, he was the manager, because Wilcox thought that he could tell him what to do. So this is why, because they were trying to treat him like a coach, and Jason was trying to dictate the formation, trying to dictate everything to Ruben, and this is why Ruben left, because he spoke out, and they were shit scared, by the way. They were shit scared that Ruben was going to say some more stuff. So the reason why they sacked him is because they wanted to silence him. That is the reason. They wanted to keep him until the end of the season. They wanted him to put up and shut up. Ruben says, I'm going to go and say what I need to say to get the sack, and he's gone. So look, that is the reason why he's gone. So don't believe anything else you see, because this is a load of crap. Sully says, we were fresher off of Fergie when Ollie was there. Second wasn't good enough, but Ollie is more than good enough for us in our current state. And Sully, I think that's a interesting point, but I also don't think we basically have we don't have the same players. Herbie says Harry's there. Cunha and Mbeumo are good players. Zidane is waiting for France. JB, your logic only Ancelotti is worthy. Yeah. Look, Branner, this is not about worthiness, right? This is not about being, well, no, it is. Fuck it. No, it is. What I want for this club is I want the best coaches, the best the manager, the best players, right? We need to aspire to that. But we are not going to get that. Xavi, I think, may be interested. How good he'd be, I don't know, but he's definitely a good shout in my opinion. But United don't have the same funds to overspend. Keane, Simeone, Ancelotti can only command that respect. United will never play Champions League again, says Brat. I hope you're wrong. Enrique's contract runs out. Sorry, he's deaf top of my choice. Enrique's contract doesn't run out until 2027. He's got 1 year left on his contract still. Clearly aren't interested in Xavi, probably due to such a lack of quality in the midfield. Simon, I said that before. What I've seen, United will push hard for him in the summer. Then go watch Man City. People don't realise Amorim was trying to force them to back him by sticking with the system. Exactly. I take Enrique today, but his contract extension takes him to 2027. Although he's interested, he could easily be tempted to make the move. I think we'll end up with a Southgate or a Glasner. Actually, going to be a wild ride from now in. Can feel the intensity around the club growing. I don't want Southgate. He's won nothing as a player or a manager. No waistcoat. Oh, I love it. His contract runs out next year. Sadly, he falls into the no Premier League experience thing, which I think is ridiculous. Scholes said Steve Bruce could be amongst the support system. Are we going to end up Player FC? Are we going to end up ex-Player FC? Look, I don't know. Look, I don't know where we go from here, and that is the honest truth here. Is I don't know, because I don't know internally what the long-term plan is. If we're not going to, as a club, we can't half-assed invest. You either go all out and go, we're now going to go get a Xavi, right? You back him fully. You go and spend £500 million, and you say and you spend it wisely. By the way, you go and say, we're going to spend £500 million. It's either going to be, basically, it's either going to be boom or bust, right? I think what we have to do as a club is either going to be boom or bust. You go, we absolutely have to make this club bigger. So what we're going to do is, we're going to spend big. We're going to hope we boom, or we may bust. And the reason why I want that to happen is because if they go bust, then they've got to sell. So I think for me right now, whoever they get next, they have to. They can't half-arse it. They absolutely have to go full ball and buy him a team. No one wants this job. They know the board has no patience. If I was Sir Jim, I'd go shit everyone up and get an offer Enrique the job, but I think he would need full control. Sir Jim hasn't got a clue what he's doing. Sir Jim, look, we're talking about a man who authorised cutting money from a charity of ex-players. We're talking about a man who authorised it, and when he got interviewed by Mr. United himself, and when Neville suggested to Sir Jim that what you should do is you should hold a dinner with players to raise some money, Sir Jim was just like, oh, I never thought about that. Nobody told me. And this is the person that's responsible for the football side. Sir Jim hasn't got a clue. He's hired Jason fucking Wilcox, who is the biggest clueless wonder. What a gawping fool. What a dour grey idiot. And I will get on to the game as well. We'll be absolutely pig sick if Enrique ends up replacing Pep at City, or even worse, Slot. Arteta, Pep, Klopp are managers who are entrusted with a project. Bobby says, seeing what happened to Amorim, no one else is safe. That's why I don't care who we get. Enrique definitely wouldn't be told what to do. He would want 100% control. We are treating managers like disposable toilet paper. Running our club seems to be more stressful than running any other club. Need to make Enrique the number one target. Only then should we be looking at other candidates. Roy Keane. Luis Enrique is the man, but would he get control? Ollie is not the Messiah. He's not. To be honest, it doesn't matter who we get. If the players don't know what they're doing half the time, the man in the dugout makes no difference. Roy Keane, he might drill it into their heads. Like he says, Ineos Glazers out. I demand Wilcox sacking now. There are managers available. Being the summer, we can easily go for a top manager. We haven't got the money to buy people out of contracts, spend most of it on compensation. And exactly here, I don't disagree with you. We do not have the money, but that is what I would do. I would, if we were that club. The point that I'm trying to make here is this: there are no excuses. And the excuse that we have is we are skint. And why are we skint? Because of the Glazers and Ineos. Jim is in bed with the Glazers. Wilcox is recording it. Omar is sat in the corner watching. Ryan says, I do get the criticism, Bruno, but he is our best player. He's the only one with the X factor who can produce some magic, like last night for his pass for first goal. And look, Ryan, I'm not disagreeing that Bruno Fernandes is our best player, right? But if you go to somewhere like Swansea City, right, or you go to a Wrexham, or you go to Portsmouth, or you go to a Southampton, right, they're gonna have their best players, right? And what I mean by that is they're gonna have players for that team who have got the X factor, who are going to be their best players. I just don't want a player who is our best player. I want a player who's going to walk into a top three. Bruno Fernandes doesn't walk into a top three side. It's great. Bruno Fernandes has the X factor, but that's what I'm saying is other than the pass last night, what else did he do? And there's always an excuse for Bruno Fernandes. There's always an excuse. He's injured. He plays too much. He cares too much. He put in a worldy pass. If you're not playing well for 80 minutes, you put in a worldy pass or you score a goal and you contribute to the game, fine. That works for certain positions. If you're a striker, you do F all game and you score a goal and you win the game. That is literally a striker's job, really. You're doing your job. Bruno Fernandes' job is to be consistent the whole game. He hasn't been. And just because he's our best player, it doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't resonate because as a captain, I demand more. I'm not saying that Bruno Fernandes wasn't a great player. I'm not saying he's not the best player, but it doesn't resonate with me because in the wider scheme of football and in the wider scheme of the world, he's not that player anymore. Someone says fans seem to be wanting Wilcox's head. Literally is possible. We needed a full sell. We did. If you don't ask, you don't get. Exactly. I want a proper sporting director Simon, but no sign of getting it. We can't stand for club to be product of money making. The United stand. Love your content. Can't handle this board anymore. How is Wilcox still here? When will the media finally scrutinise the CEO? Why are they never interviewed in Germany? That would be standard. Well, because look, because effectively, give me a second. Move that out of the way. So the reason why they're not is basically because they're cowards. It just doesn't happen. Is because this is why England are very, very good. Is because they don't front up. This club will give me a second. Just got a message actually. Love your content, can't handle this board anymore. How is Wilcox still here? When the media finally scrutinise the CEO, why are they never if you look, thank you mate, I appreciate you being here as well. It's basically because just because we consider, or many consider, this league one of the best in the world, it doesn't mean we've got the best people. It doesn't mean we've got the most respectful league. The off the pitch activities of some of these clubs, including our clubs, are disgusting. People forget this as well, and I just need to raise this again because I think people forget who we've got in charge. These are the Glazers. These are the people, and the Glazers are still in charge. And so Sir Jim, who is a lifelong fan of this club, right? Who's supposedly a fan, got into bed with people who wanted to take us into a Super League. If you were any sort of fan, any sort of respectful person who is a fan of this club, you would never get into bed with somebody with a group of people who try to destroy football. And are you surprised about these people? These are the cretins. These are the dirty scumbags who wanted to take us into a Super League and destroy the Premier League. They wanted to destroy the Premier League. The only reason why they didn't is because they got caught with their fingers in the fucking till. And Sir Jim has decided to get into bed with those people. And you wonder why, we have incompetence. You wonder why we don't have competent people. Then they will never come out because they are weak and scared. Our new manager will also be coming into a crumbling wreck of a stadium alongside the team. Ineos, the Glazers, yeah, I get that. So David says, if they haven't come through the academy, they're only interested in wages. You're grasping at straws. With the same at Everton, I'm not giving that you should win. You can't buy the league anymore. Look, I'm not saying that I want to buy the league. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. Um, um, but the point I'm trying to make is I don't think anybody should be able to go to a club and just demand their players. I'm just giving you a view from my perspective, is that if you want something, everything has a price, and whether people like it or not, okay. Some things in look, if let's just say if you worked for, I don't know, if you worked for, just trying to think of a car company, right? If you work, let's just say you work for, I don't know, Joe Bloggs, right? And he made a car and it was called the JB car, right? Then if, say, Ford, who are absolutely huge, and I'm not talking about the quality, you know, if Ford then come into your little company and said, I am taking your best guy, and they said, no, you can't, he's under a contract, like he's our best guy, you can't, and like the guy's going, nah, no, I'm not going to come, this place is fantastic. And they go, no, you are coming. We're going to pay off your boss. We're going to pay off you. Everybody has their price. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Is I'm not saying that should happen. I'm not saying that it can happen now, but there is no excuse for it not to happen. Bryce says, I don't think Emery is the right guy, nor Iriada Silva or Glasner. If Wilcox was to get sacked soon, I would get drunk with a celebration. I don't think a Premier League manager is the answer. Emery, no. Arola, no. Glasner, no. Not any. I look at Frank at Spurs. I know. And look. You do make a good point. You do make a good point. I just don't know, without players and investment. I don't know who comes outside of the Premier League to come into this. Ooh. Just getting stuff through. I lost games because Wilcox mess. I can't stand it for no more. I think it's a mentality in the entire club from top to bottom that's rotten, and it's just not about football performance on the pitch anymore. I don't think any coach can be the answer. And I agree with you. This is why we keep saying on here, this is a mentality thing. You can't train a mentality. If you look at Arsenal, you look at City, Liverpool to a degree, you look at us in past years, it's mentality. This team may not be the same bunch of players over the last 10 years, but there's a mentality in this club of not winners. You get infected by it, just as the same. And there are two sides to this, right? Is that last night, what you saw on that pitch last night was a bunch of losers last night, led by a pair of Tweedledum and Tweedledee, right? Two people who have no fucking idea what they are doing. Wilcox is just, right now, is an absolute... I don't think I've disliked a guy as much as him since Woodward, right? The team represents what the Glazers are, Sir Jim is, the chaos, the Wilcox thing. This team is probably the worst team I've seen. It is a mentality of losers. It is a mentality of people who have zero idea, zero clue of what to do. There is no organisation. The mentality has gone. There is not a single player, a single person on that board, a single person and influential capacity, and I'm not bringing Fergie into this, who knows what it's like to win. Previously, this is why we were able to take an average player, bring him into the squad and make them a winner. Because conversely to what we've got now, we had a club full of winners. You had Sir Matt Busby was still around. Bobby Charlton was still around. Fergie came in, and for whatever people say about him, Fergie won the league with bloody name's gone now, with an Aberdeen, right? They beat Real Madrid for a European Cup. It was the I think it's the old Europa Cup or the Cup Winners' Cup, right? They beat Madrid. Fergie knew what it was like to come in because he'd won stuff. Sir Matt Busby, Bobby Charlton, Ferguson. You had winners. And just as you can be infected by being a loser, you also can be infected by winning stuff. And we don't have that now. These players and managers get infected by this club, and until the Glazers and Ineos piss off, because they are infecting the club with not only players, but with the people that they hire. It's jobs for the boys. Friends! Friends! Man City friends! Oh, Jason Wilcox! Oh, my Barada friends! Oh, friends! It is just jobs for the boys. It literally is jobs for the boys. And until that ends, and until the tyranny ends, it's never going to change. Someone says, I would like to see something like United of old when we dominate the league each season, wouldn't stop winning trophies, but I would be a crotchety old man before that happens. Kindly no more Ollie, please. Fuck it, go and get an unknown coach from League 2 or 3. It can't be any worse. I agree with you. Dino's in the house. Dino is a legend. I completely agree that the mentality of the club is rotten from top to bottom. Bobby says, JB, what is point on getting or getting a world-class manager if he's not backed? Exactly, Bobby. There is no point. There is no point in bringing a world-class manager into this squad. You look at that last night. I'll get through the chats. If you look at that last night, what a bag of shit. Absolutely awful. Neo Tribe says they should let Arabian take care of Manchester. They will buy anything. Amorim right now is £10 million richer. Jason Wilcox needs to go. He's clueless and is going to ruin us if he doesn't go. Amorim spoke with heart. Yes, he made bad choices, but he was an honest talker. I'm doing protests. All come with me happily. Wilcox is garbage. I'm proud of Ruben Amorim, right mentality and personality. Bring in a 3 at the back man and try to force him to play 4. It was pointless to give him the job. Wilcox doesn't know his art from his elbow. Nobody on the board needs to go. They are useless as a porthole on a submarine. Ancelotti is free after the World Cup. First off, United management haven't changed since Fergie left. That's the main problem for United. Ineos Glazers out. Ugarte is crap. I don't see any quality whatsoever. So any coaches coming in will be under Wilcox's ass. Exactly. I would go for a very long shot and go for Klopp. He's a trophy winner. I'm good on the advert for the holiday. He's not coming, mate. He's not. Look, one of the things I really respect about Jurgen Klopp, and you probably all heard of the story about Jurgen Klopp, right? The one thing which bloody makes me, I can't stand this. I hate it, but it makes me like him even more. They interviewed Jurgen Klopp, and basically they tried to sell him the dream. They tried to sell him the dream, and he was going to get all these players. And Jurgen Klopp looked at him and said, "Piss off, mate." Well, he didn't actually say piss off, but Jurgen Klopp was just like, "No, it's not for me." Jurgen Klopp said they promised him the Disneyland, and he didn't want that. He wanted a project that was real. He wanted a project where he could be the owner of it and build it up. And Jurgen Klopp said no. And I totally I totally respect him for that. I don't want him as a coach because not for me, because I couldn't do it. But respect him completely for that. I bet any money Fergie could name a few players and managers who could do a job. We got money. We haven't got money. We have to bring in a defender, player, and a midfielder. Says Michael. Wilcox is messing United up. If we can bring back a world-class manager, and he won't want to do what Wilcox wants, Roy Keane on a 10-year contract. A friend of mine says I should support City or Arsenal, but being a fan for 51 years, I have no intention of deserting this club. Whatever happens. I mean, look, people who say to you, right, you should switch clubs, right? Each to their own. Simon, what will your friends say if Arsenal bottle the league this season? If Arsenal don't win a league this season, what are those same fans will they say to you when Pep leaves? If Aston Villa start to win the league, those same friends will then go and buy an Aston Villa shirt. I am one of three boys, right? The eldest was a Liverpool fan, then he was a United fan, then he was a Newcastle fan, then he was a Chelsea fan. Sir Jim wears waistcoats. Oh guys, my stomach thinks my throat has been cut, so I'm going to have my jacket spud for dinner. Have a good day all. Simon, absolute legend, mate. I hope you do. Hope you enjoy your spud. The real question is, will a top manager want to come to United? No, because they would not be allowed to play and bring in players that they want. It doesn't matter who comes in unless the club, top to bottom, pulls in the same direction. We will be on repeat for even more years while the fans argue about the managers and systems. And that's it, Sully. Mate, one of the things to come out of this is we need to stop arguing. It doesn't matter about players, formations, until these Glazers and Ineos are out. And I will keep on banging that. I will keep on banging that drum until Wilcox is gone, Omar Barada is gone, until Sir Jim's pissed off, the Glazers have sold. This is not going to get better. Ryan says Ancelotti doesn't need the stress of United at his time in his career. He's won everything and getting on a bit now. Selu Garcia and Luke Shaw. Michael says we have been making terrible transfer decisions for the last 10 years. Amin was bringing the right players and changing the culture of the club. Prediction for Arsenal v Liverpool. If it's at home, I think Arsenal will win. You've got £1 billion. Scott said, lucky, it's all good saying that you demand stuff, but this club do not listen to fans, only themselves. Why are big teams panicking? Wolves is last and they are chilling. Sell the following players: Shaw, Ugarte, Casemiro, Dalot, Yoro, Bruno, replace them with good players. Mate, I love it, but Luke Shaw, you can't sell him. His contract is up next year. Ugarte's contract's till 2028. You can't do anything. Casemiro will go on a free. Dalot is on a contract till next year. Yoro is on a contract till 28. I think Bruno is on a contract till 27 to 28 as well. You can't just get rid of players, mate. You can't. I never understood, says Mud, how Luke Shaw is in that team. Go figure. Arsenal says you need to emulate the Gunners, but can't. United used to rip into Arsenal fans during Arsenal's transition phase when they moved to the Emirates. Arsenal aim for top four. United are dying for top four. True, Arsenal. But all I'm going to say to you is, have you won a league? What have you won? Look, I'm not disagreeing. We don't mind the banter, Arsenal. I don't disagree at all. I do not disagree a single bit. But what has Arteta won? That's what I'm saying. I would bite your hand off to be in the top four, but what's he won? Um, messages all of the time. But look, I'm not disagreeing with you, but all I'm saying is yes. It's. I wonder, Arsenal. Wait until the end of the season. Look, I have never given you jip. This channel has never given you jip. I'm not ripping into your fan base. Never have, never will. Right? We are dying for top 4. Agreed completely. But I want more than that. That's a very, very Arsenal way to think, isn't it? That's a very, very Arsenal way to think. Like, you want to finish top 4. Your statement should have been about winning the league, but your statement is aiming for top 4. The statement should be, we should have done the same thing, and now you are looking to win the league, not going for top 4. So look, whilst I do appreciate the statement, Arsenal have not won anything. What have Arsenal won? When was look? As much as I agree with that, right? We've still won a couple of leagues before you guys. Like, you've not won a league in, is it 24 years now? We've actually won leagues, and it's embarrassing, actually, Arsenal, that we've won more leagues than you, and you've not won a league for 20 odd years. I find it strange that so many players were injured for the past few games, but when Amorim got fired, all of a sudden they're okay to play. But look, Michael, that is what we do. That is what this team does. That is what this team does. This team is low mentality, a low IQ, and that's what it is. Wilcox has dropped us completely in the shit simply because he had his ego hurt. He's a liability and a bell end. I do agree with you. Danny is in the house. Good morning, buddy. Even though I'm a gooner, I have to admit you are a United fan who knows his stuff. Hopefully, everyone watching is subscribing. Thanks, buddy. United not going to win anything, and yeah, it's true. It's true. We're not. Bruno needs to f off. Not a player. Alexander, yes. Nowadays, it will take 3 to 5 years to win the league. Look at City and Liverpool. We have Bootlicker in the chat. Anyone defending Ineos, Jim, or the Glazers aren't United fans. I agree, Danny. Bring Solskjaer back. United fans will remain disappointed for years to come because the expectations are based on history. You haven't been good for 15 years, except when you reset. And look, Arsenal fan again, mate. You are correct. Look, Arsenal fan. Look, mate. You are speaking sense. We will remain disappointed because this fan base has been spun around so much that what this club does extremely well is this, right? Is this. They want us to keep looking at the past because of how present the shit is. Right? And then when we get tired of looking at the past and we demand things for now, they promise us signings, stadiums. I mean, they even lied about the fucking stadium. Like, even though the stadium is not something I want or I care about, they even lied about the fucking stadium. Like, they basically shit their pants and started to produce all this stuff about the stadium, and it's nowhere near. It wasn't even the finished concept. This is how far this club will go to lie and cheat and steal. Is they basically went to ChatGPT, put in a stadium, and put this up to the world that this is what the stadium was going to be. Even the people who were building the stadium were just like, "What the fuck are you doing?" This is how low that they are. Absolutely cretin. So let's get through some of this chat. 10th, like I said, would be a good season. Taurus, I've been saying all season, somewhere between 8th and 10th. Sally says, I'm more and more convinced Ruben was sticking to a back three on purpose. Once he knew 100% he wasn't going to be getting players, it was all about the payday. I do agree with you. Glazers are United getting what they deserve. Now, Matt, I don't agree with that, Matt. Why we? Look, and again, Matt, look, I don't mind banter. I'm just asking a question, right? Why do we deserve this? Why do fans do what? So basically, Matt, what you're saying is because United were winners and did everything that anybody else could have done. It wasn't like Liverpool couldn't. It wasn't like Liverpool couldn't do the same. It wasn't like Arsenal couldn't do the same. So what you're saying is because United did everything they could to win, we now deserve what's happened. Matt, that doesn't make sense to me. Like I don't want other teams, like, for example, right? If City got charged, which they won't get charged, right? I'm not gonna then revel with glee, and many of you will. I'm not then going to jump up and down, celebrate and start laughing at the City fans, because City fans don't deserve it. Even though City fans have been arseholes and they give people banter, right? It doesn't bring me joy. It doesn't bring me joy to see the downfall of other clubs and fans. Maybe people in that club or certain people that cause that thing. Mate, I think it's a very sad. I think it's a very sad way to be if you think that people get a comeuppance for supporting a football club, mate. Friends, protest friends. Friends. Nicaroots, love it. I can't believe the board's decision not to back the manager. A top manager is not going to come if he's not backed. Nicky T, you're right. He's spitting on them, Dino, mate. Stephen says hi. Can't play back four because of poor midfield. Exactly. Wilcox should be his name. I'm proud standing up. Ineos Glazers sack Jason James. Yeah. I don't know what James said there, mate. What did James say? It's James. Look, James Barry's getting banned anyway. James is banned. I've just gone and just banned him. James can fuck off. He's an idiot. Wilcox, just because he won the Prem over 30 years ago, thinks he knows best. And look, he won a league with a Blackburn side once. Doesn't mean shit. Y'all, it's been a while, mate. I hope you're doing it extremely well. A lot of hate for Wilcox. He's not his fault. Ruben did a mistake of blowing it up his face, making him lose the biggest supporter. It's Bevel you should be angry at. Look, Joel, mate, legend of the channel, and I do respect the opinion. I disagree with you, mate. Wilcox was the one, mate. I've been told stuff. I get information all of the time. This is Wilcox doing. I'm not plucking this out of my arse. This is my view, but this is based on things that I've been told. Wilcox is the one calling the shots. Jason Wilcox is the one walking around like his shit doesn't stink. Wilcox is the one who's been telling Ruben that he needs to play a back four. So Christian, he's a scout. He's effectively a scout. He's effectively a chief scout. Wilcox is the footballing guy. This is down to Wilcox. This is down to Wilcox. Why do I have a mod status? Should take that away since I don't visit the channel anymore. Fine, mate. I'm happy to do that, mate. There you go, done. That's fine, Joel. Not a problem, my friend. You know who would be decent head coach is Pochettino. Disagree. Ugarte could be leaving at the end of the window to Ajax. I bloody hope so. Mark is doing your editing. Let's have a little look. I think I'm just in a bad mood. You not get an empty lot. Don't let it stress you out, mate. Yeah, exactly. Ryan says you can change your wife, but you can never change your team. It's true, mate. You can't. No, it's true. You can't. This roller coaster is doing my head in. It is mine as well. Arsenal says, I look forward to jumping into this chat in the summer after we do the treble. Look, Arsenal, on a serious note, right? If it's between you and City to win the league, I want you to win the league. Right? I'm not going to lie. I want us to win the league. But look, if it's a choice of Liverpool, City of winning the league, or an Arsenal, I want Arsenal to win the league. So look, you know. But look, Arsenal fan, don't wait until the summer to come back, by the way. You are welcome here. If Roy Keane feels like he can cope, is he the man? No. It's going to be Ollie Carrick as his number 2 from what I'm hearing. Vishal Shaw, mate, too slow, mate. I already spoke about this last night. I already spoke about this morning. Vishal, mate, too late, buddy. Yeah, too late. Cutting costs to save money, then go ahead and sack 2 coaches costing us 50 to 60 million. You need Rice and Haaland. It's not going to happen. I want Ollie. At least you'll have a great stadium in 2038 in League One. Thanks, mate. Thanks, Arsenal. Arsenal have never won a Champions League. They can never sit at the top table. If you create a live model of the stadium, it's not a smoke screen that costs a lot of money. Mate, I can go into AI now and create a stadium. We are just a club to give players and managers more following by coming and going, other than not a top class club anymore. I think the reason fans should be disappointed with the season is because you are only playing 1 game a week, but like your fatigue players. Arsenal fan, mate, I agree with you completely. It is disappointing this season. We are playing 1 game a week and we have to watch this shit show. We're playing 1 game a week. It is awful. JB is being too kind for the City fans, all 13 of them. We spent money to get him out. Sporting to sack him 10 mil. Exactly, Scott, exactly. To be fair, it's no point to go around and vent your frustrations and say things that's not true. I hate that Ruben is gone. He was good for morale, but the stadium thing is the stadium stuff is a thing. Look, I'm not venting frustration, right? The Wilcox stuff, that isn't coming from me, by the way. Well, it is, but it's not coming from me. That stuff, I've known about this stuff for quite some time. But that's by the by. The stadium stuff, yeah, look, right. The stadium stuff, obviously, it's not AI generated, right? But what the point I'm trying to make about the stadium stuff, the stadium stuff is real. But when they released the pictures, it wasn't the final stage. They had no intention of releasing those pictures. They weren't even the final concept. They released it hastily because they had to. Really, they didn't want to release it until this year because they were still going through the proof of the concept. So when it comes to the Wilcox stuff, the behind the scenes stuff, I know I'm right on that. But the stadium stuff is, look, of course it's a real thing. The pictures are real. The point I'm trying to make on that is they rushed it out without there being a true concept of the finished stadium. It was completely rushed. Foundation says, how did Ratcliffe make billions with Ineos? He is an absolute imbecile. Well, do you know what? One of his site, well, Ineos are currently £14 billion in debt. They are, so Ineos at the moment are £18 billion in debt as a company. Sir Jim has been taking £17 million up until this point of taxpayers' money to keep one of his sites alive, and they've just got another 150 in grants and loans. So Sir Jim is such an amazing guy. He's not even willing to put any of his own money into the business that he started. Shesko looked wonderful with the movement off the back of the defensive line. Would be interesting to see a return to 4-4-2. Icon Edit says, I want Ollie. The stadium was a smokescreen for all the rot inside. To keep the fans happy, when is it going to be built? 2030 or 2040? If I go to my boss and start a fight, I'm going in the morning. That's just how it is. Disagree, Joel. Disagree, mate. Disagree. If you're brought in, like, if you're brought in to do a job, and look, Joel, I agree. If you go in and start a fight with your boss, will you get sacked? Well, Amrin wasn't starting a fight. They had a disagreement. If you go to your boss, Joel, and you have a disagreement, right? Will you get sacked for putting your opinion across? No. I've had jobs whereby I have had conversations with my boss, and unintentionally, maybe I've made them look not the best. But I've not been sacked for that. I've not been sacked for telling the truth. There's a difference between starting a fight. Jason Wilcox has no idea what he's doing. Jason Wilcox is not the best in class. Jason Wilcox is an absolute imbecile who has no idea what he's doing. Fanny says, I saw the trace of Arteta in Amrin. He wants to clean up United from all the players. Freeloading, look at what Arteta had to do. The board threw Amrin under the bus by not getting in place. Fallout and calling them out. Up the Villa indeed. The Arsenal should go. That Arsenal should go and melt all the cups down and make a Champions League replica. Arsenal are not winning the Champions League. Don't celebrate too soon, Arsenal. You had a 14-point lead. Arsenal are the bottle jobs. Arsenal treble, yeah. Arsenal. I'll let you guys argue that out. Eustroy was great as an intern before. Why isn't that the name in the mix? I don't think he was good at all. I don't think he was. Hindsight in 2020, but many saw it was when what was happening too. Only if the club hadn't signed Ronnie in his twilight. He forced our hand by flirting with City. We shouldn't have had. Look, with Ronnie, you've got to do the deal. Look, Ronnie still scored 20 odd goals. You know, I don't think it was a bad signing. Cristiano went as well because he exposed the club. The reason why Cristiano went was because he saw the writing on the wall and he exposed the club. Simple as that. Jamie Vargas says, good morning, JB. Good morning to you, Jamie. If Ollie comes in, what formation will he use? As we support a base, we should be better than this. We are the best club in the world. Love your shit, brother. Thank you, my friend. I think you'll go to a 4-3-3. I do. Is it true Ollie doing the manager job for free? He's not going to do it for free. He's not going to. He'll get paid for doing it, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be like massive amounts of money. But it's not going to be free. No. I said, if it was made, if it was a made model, someone created the model by hand. They had sections, blocks. Just do a search for United model, and you can see the. And look, Joe, I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing that the stadium concept isn't real. I'm not arguing that. I don't doubt it's real. The point I'm trying to make is it wasn't finished, and they rushed it out. They rushed it out because they were scared the protest. Because where is the rest of the news? Where is the update? There is none because they released it too early in the cycle. It was an egotistical move. Second Amorim doesn't bode well for the future. Ollie is good. He was first at one point and finished second. I don't like Ruben. He was too stubborn for his crap formation. I've had disappointment with senior staff. I've disagreed with their decisions making. I've not been. Excuse me. Do that. Wilcox doesn't have the ball to take. Wilcox doesn't have the balls to take the criticism from his coaches, and Amorim exposed the truth, and it hurts his feelings. Cry me a river, Wilcox. I like that, Jamie. Ronaldo did what he was supposed to do and scored goals. Ollie best not come in. I think you're going to be disappointed, my friend. I'm not sure even Pep could get much out of this crop of players. Ollie wages would be 50 to 60k a week. If he gets Champions League, he'll get 3 to 4 million. Yeah, I agree. Pay 10 mil to get rid and pay him to come back. He was first and then finished second. Wilcox had his fanny hurt. I love it. Yeah, so look, guys, I'm going to go. Brilliant show, by the way. Fantastic show. Look, I know, and I'm glad that that Joel's back in the house, mate. Absolute legend. Nice to have you back into the chat, my friend. Joel's been here for quite some time, and I appreciate you being here, my friend. So look, keep out for today. Watch out for today. The last that I've heard about this is look, that Ollie is still the favourite. There is still a power struggle, but the latest is that it's probably going to be Ollie, with Carrick assisting. We said this 2 days ago. I brought that to you 2 days ago. So we'll see. We'll see. So I expect if the temperature of the fan base increases and people are not happy, what's the next couple of days? If everything's tempered and everything's fine, they won't announce it until after the Brighton game. But if there's more and more push, and as long as somebody with an ego wins, we could be looking at the announcement next couple of hours, tomorrow, just to give this fan base a bit of a buzz. So let's see what happens. Carrick in, says Ryan Wilcox. Yeah, he needs to. We need him gone ASAP. Wilcox wants to be the manager. He knows he's rubbish and doesn't want someone else to tell him what to do. I think they need to go for an interim with a clear pass of Tuchel or the Gelsman and the use of a long-term strategy, or go for Hertzler and be very patient. I don't disagree with any of that, the signature. I don't disagree, but we don't know. It's going to be jobs for the boys. So whoever Wilcox wants, a Favell wants, whoever those guys want are going to be the guy that we get. There's going to be no strategy in place. There's no future planning. JB, next stream, Ollie be in charge. But look, guys, remember that yesterday, the day before, this channel broke it. Well, we sort of did. About Ollie. Go back, look at it, and hopefully, look. I'm hoping for my information is right, and look. Hopefully, I should be back on the next stream. It's been announced that Ollie. So look at it. Keep your eyes on it. It's gonna be a couple of hours. Let's see. TOS burst or nothing. That burst or nothing. Their headline. What a cop. Look, we all know. Yes. Good point, y'all. Yeah, so we're gonna see it, and John makes a good point. But look, you know what? Watch out for it. Watch out for it in this couple of hours. Tomorrow, y'all's right, and really pleased to have you back, buddy. Someone that the manager can work with well on the board and allow long-term solution. Hello, I'm Lunes. Bust or nothing. Sorry, but this nothing, guys. Yeah, look. As I say on here, we are the best. We've got the best community, the best people. We've got people who are logical. We've got people who are fanciful. We get banter. We get all sorts of stuff. But look, guys, you guys are fantastic. You guys are amazing. We are best in class, Sully. We are best in class. Absolutely best in class. If you're in a channel that is got the best people on it, who I think talk about the best stuff, who I get information that has been proved right, we are the best in class. So look, thank you guys for being here this afternoon. Fantastic show. I'm not sure I'll be back tonight. I'm not planning to be back tonight. If anything does break, I will be back, by the way, but I probably won't be back tonight. But if there is breaking news, I will be back on that occasion. I'm going out tonight, so I'm not going to be around. So look, guys, if anything does break, I promise you, I promise, I will be back. You guys are legends. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Legends, or we don't mind the banter. We don't have to agree, and I really appreciate you guys being here and whatever comments that you make. Legends. So look, I'm JB. This is the United Devil channel. If I'm not back with some news, I will see you guys tomorrow. So take care, and I'll see you guys very soon.